What's up? Today I wanted to speak about how I got into music publishing, how I found a publisher, how they helped me. I want to cover as much of that as I can. I've told the story many times before, but I'm going to try and go through it in a different way, see whether or not there's any new value that I can bring to me getting a music publisher, because you might be looking for a publisher, you might not know what a publisher does, and you might have read online what a publisher does, but I guess I can give you actual real life reasons or explanations as to why they do what they do. Cool. So the first time that I ever came into contact with a publisher was in 2013. The reason why I did that was, I have to bring it back to the beginning of that year. I used to play a lot of FIFA, and I used to hear the music, and I'm like, how would one get their music into this game? Because I want to do the same thing. It seems nice. I wasn't even really thinking about the cash. I was just like, it must be so cool to be going through the options menu and have your music playing. Anyway, I started looking online, trying to figure out how people get their music into games and on TV and that type of thing, because all I knew was get your beats to an artist, the artist will make use of them, the artist will release songs, and that's how the music industry works. So I went onto Google and I started looking up production crews and film crews. I emailed a couple asking them, like, how do you do this? I see that you're a film crew for whoever it is. How do people get their music into the programs? So one person got back to me out of all of the ones I emailed, and they said, you might need to speak to a media agency or some kind of media company. So I was like, okay, cool. So I Googled and somehow found myself at the Norm website. Norm is now known as Capasso. And they had a lot of information on their website. Capasso is their mechanical rights administration organization. So they've got the information on their website. I'm going through the information and I see a particular guy's details. So I contact that person. I send them an email. I'm like, yo, I don't understand the music industry. Like, I'm struggling and I'm trying to get my music placed into TV programs. This gentleman set up a meeting. He says, come through to the offices, which are in Rosebank, and let's sit down and have a meeting. This was a game changer of a meeting. He didn't have to take this meeting. He paid it forward and he didn't even know it. Funny story, many years later, literally it was the beginning of this year, that I hit him up. I contacted the company that he works for, and he obviously didn't remember me, but I reminded him of the story, and I'm like, look, I've been doing this for 10 years now successfully, thanks to that one meeting that you took. As much as you might not remember me, thank you so much for doing that for me. So what he did in that meeting is he broke down the entire library music space for me. He broke down how the royalties work. He broke down what I need to do as a composer. He even brought in the rate card. This is on the Capasso PDF, on the Capasso website. If you go there now, you'll see there's a rate card PDF. That he walked into the room with that and he put it on the table in front of me. It's like, let's go through this thing. So we went through it, and at the end he was like, if you want to, there's some publishers here that you can contact. So after getting all that information, getting all my music together, I got lots of beats together. Lots really wasn't that much. It must have been maybe close to 60, which isn't a lot in the music library world. You'd be surprised how many tracks are dealt with on a daily basis, on a weekly or monthly basis. I got my music together and I started contacting these people, contacting these publishing companies. If you go to the back of the Capasso rate card, their details are actually still there right now, to this day. I took their details, I highlighted all of them, I went and I looked at their websites and I made notes on anything that I could find. Or what's the person's name? Are they on any other social media? What type of music do they specialize in? All this information, I was basically building up a little bit of a game plan for myself, because I needed to know how I was going to get in with these people, how I was going to make this thing work. Cool. So I started sending out these emails. I got a few replies. Some people are like, look, we don't do that anymore. One or two were like, we're not really looking for anyone new at this moment. And then one or two were like, yo, send your music through. Let's give it a listen. So they listened through the music. Three of them liked the music. First one I still work with today. Second one I'm still earning royalties with today. And then the third one was a bit of a dud. I'll get into that now. So what I wanted these music publishers to do was to effectively, and I knew it at this point because of the meeting I took at Norm, I wanted them to get my music, take as many tracks of mine as possible, and shop them out to whoever it was that was looking for music, whether it be ad agencies, whatever company it might be. I just wanted to supply them with good music. I had a meeting with one of the publishers. They just happened to, they're not based in Joburg, but they happened to be here at the time. Again, didn't really have to do that for me. He came and met me. It wasn't even at my place because I was living in a little dingy, not dingy, I won't say dingy, that was actually really well built. It was an apartment, and the whole apartment was maybe the size of the studio. Mind you, my studio is 18 squares. It might have actually been smaller, that apartment. It was the bed, small little bathroom, kitchen, net, I guess. It was a small little kitchen, and that was it. So yeah, that was pretty much the space that I had. So I didn't want to invite him there and be like, okay, cool, sit on the bed, mister, I want you to help me make money in the future. So we met at an old colleague's place. He at least had a little bit of a, place with chairs and stuff. I remember we sat in that meeting and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so out of my depth. I didn't even have a place to meet this guy. I didn't know Joburg that well. I hadn't traveled that much. I must have had my car for maybe a year, and I didn't travel much, so I didn't know where a place to go and sit and have coffee would have been, because that probably would have been the best situation, the best opportunity for me. Anyway, we sat down. He explained. He was like, I like your tracks, and this is sort of how the game is gonna go. So I then went back, refined my tracks, and I was working with a production partner at the time. I refined my tracks, he brought some of his tracks, then we started making tracks together. We then made it our mission to make one track each week. Just try and work on something fresh and new for the industry. We did that, and we put together some albums, sent it through to this music publisher, and we just continued. We actually liked the process of it. Getting there, it was every Thursday night. I remember I'd go get some Red Bulls or I'd get some Monsters, whatever I could get my hands on the way there, and we would just start. Sometimes it started at 8, usually we started like 10 p.m. And we would work until like 4 the next morning, 3, 4 the next morning. And then I would quickly drive home, and then I would need to get to work by 7:30, which is madness. I don't know how I was able to do that. If I did that now, I'd be able to maybe do it once a month. But yeah, I didn't feel groggy or anything. I was pumped when I left home, and when I left the studio, I'd be pumped. Like, this isn't even like I'd come down from the Red Bull high. I would just be on a different level. Anyway, we created all this music. We kept on sending it through, and like later that year, we got was it an email? Must have been an email saying, we like the music that you guys have sent through to us. One of them has actually been used in Orlando Pirates advert. And I was like, what? It's like, yeah, no, they're advertising their new Adidas kit. I was like, oh my goodness, what is this? It was an opportunity that had just come out of nowhere, and it's not like we had to pitch for it. They'd already chosen our music. We were done. They were just informing us that the music had been made. Anyway, left it for a while, and then we get links to where it's been used, and I look and I'm like, these are really nice adverts. Like, this is nice. I should actually go and see if they're still online. They might be. I might be able to get them. I'll post them onto my website. So the music was up there. Everything was great. Then we got paid our first royalties. That's when I was like, found it. Now I know what to do. And at that point, we just continued making music. So just to sum up the relationship that we had with the music publisher, this particular music publisher, we sent music through to them. Most music publishers are looking to expand their catalog, but only the good music publishers are looking to expand their catalog in a methodical way. You can just say, I'm accepting anything. Pop, rock, hip hop, amapiano, jazz, whatever music, African sounds, tribal music, classical music, and you can get a massive library. I can understand that, but it makes sense when you have some kind of niche that you're playing in. So maybe you have the African niche, which encompasses a multitude of genres. You've got house, amapiano, qom, kwaito. You've got a niche of your own. Hip hop, there's just a lot of hip hop in the world at the moment, and it's been this way for a while. But you can then specialize: drill, boom bap, trap, da 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 da, like that, right? You have your entire catalog of hip hop music. Whatever it might be, African sounds. You might actually had an idea one day of creating a publishing company of sounds of Africa, and you go to your particular country and you'll go and find music and instruments and basically sounds driven by that particular section of the world, or that particular country. I know there's certain countries where you get very, very rich, distinct sounds. Like I'm thinking of the DRC and what you'd get from there. You go to Nigeria, what would you get from there? South Africa, obviously, there'd be a lot. East Africa, there's a lot of music that side as well. And just, sort of creating a niche within that music publishing space. So those are the ones you're looking for. You're looking for one where you're like, oh, we kind of get what they're going for here. And if you create that same type of music and you create it well, you gather your best music together. Don't take your throwaway music. Don't take music that you don't want to use anymore because you're not going to use it for your own commercial stuff. This needs to be your best stuff. The best stuff, the stuff that you were saving, don't save it. You keep it and you give it to the music publishers. And again, there's trust on both sides. They are trusting you to give you they are trusting you in that you will give them your best stuff. In the same way, you need to trust that when you give them your best stuff, that they're actually going to do the job and get it out there. So I think the best thing for you to do is maybe send 3, maybe 4 albums of that. Each album consisting of anywhere between 10 and 12 tracks. You can do the maths on that. So you got your 48, almost 50 tracks. Once you go to 50 tracks, you send them through, and they'll work on the metadata. Very important. They'll tell you how important it is. All the publishers I work with, it's such an important thing. They rename from whatever I've got it named as. Mind you, I've got a jacked up naming system at the moment. I have it starts with a month, the first 3 letters of the month. So now it would be SEP, and then it would be the 23, and then after that there'd be a space, and then it would be, there's a catalog number. This is just for my own naming of beats. Then I've got a random beat name, so it could be armchair or I don't know, pencil. And then after that I'm getting better at this, but I put the BPM in the name of the beat, and I put the BPM in the name of the beat as well as the key that the beat is in, just so that when I'm going back and I'm referencing stuff and I'm looking for information, it's all there. It also makes it easier for me to upload to various platforms. Now I might get into those as well. So that is that. So they collect your music, they'll add all the metadata, they'll then shop it for you. A good music publisher will make sure that your stuff gets heard by people. That process, I don't know what that looks like. I don't know whether it looks like physical meetings, whether it looks like phone calls, emails, submissions with briefs. It could be any of these ways. But they're basically getting your music out there. They've got these, I know some music publishers who still move around with physical hard drives, and they'll go and review music in that way. And yeah, they get your music out there, and then from there, there's also the administration side of things. So in terms of your your notification of works with your organizations, they can assist with that too. And then any sort of, I know some music publishers will assist with relationship management. So if you are a kwaito composer and they want you to bring in string elements, they might partner you up with someone also submitting music to them so that you guys can work on a particular genre. Or they'll do collaborative albums where they'll take tracks from 3 people, tracks from 3 people, tracks from 3 people. 3 tracks from each person, and then you put it together and then you create an album. So there's lots of ways of doing that, sort of like that collaborative sort of work. So it's administrative, it's collaborative, and then, all the other little in-betweens that happen there. And if they do all of this well, your music gets seen, it gets heard, and it gets used. It gets used, you get paid, they get paid. Generally, there is quite a bit of a percentage that they do take from it just because of the amount of work that they put in. And in the beginning, it kind of did cut me, but I realized just how much work they were doing. There's rooms that they sit in and conversations that they have that I would never be able to have. And I don't have the capacity, and I frankly don't really want to be sitting in the room negotiating usage and amounts and all of that stuff. I'm not trying to be doing that thing. I want to be behind the PC as far as possible, editing, playing around with new sounds and creating new music. So if that's something that you want to do, and you might not necessarily be winning in the commercial music space where you're releasing tracks either as an artist or as a composer, this is definitely another avenue for you to try and get your music out there, get it seen, earn a bit of money. So yeah, I hope this information was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will try and answer them as best as I can. Peace.